16, I thought truth was the highest virtue. I believed honesty was the bridge that held families together, that sharing every corner of your heart was noble. But time teaches in whispers and bruises. Now at 37, I know better. There are things you should never say to your family. Secrets that don't build closeness but corrode it. I learned this the hard way, and if I could go back, I'd swallow those confessions and walk away in silence. Here are 5 things I said that I wish I never had. 1. I wish I wasn't born into this family. It was a stupid thing to say, born of frustration, of course. I was 17, the walls of my house closing in like the pages of a book I didn't want to read. My father was yelling about college applications. My mother was silent, her mouth pulled into that quiet, disappointed line. I wanted out. I wanted space. I wanted air. So I said it, loudly, like it would make them understand. The silence afterward was worse than any punishment. My mother walked away, and for days her quiet was heavier than any argument. My father looked at me differently. I could see it, the flash of hurt, the wound where my words had landed. Years later, I understood. Parents aren't invincible. You think they are when you're young, but they bleed just like you, and my words cut deep. I meant, I feel trapped. But what I said was, you're the problem. I can never take that sentence back. 2. You're the reason I have anxiety. This came out during a therapy-fueled rage. I was in my mid-20s and finally digging through the debris of my childhood with a professional. I came home for the holidays, emboldened by the language I'd learned. Toxic environments, emotional invalidation, attachment wounds. And then, over dinner, my father made a joke about how I used to cry for no reason. I snapped. I stood up, heart racing, and accused them both, told them that their parenting was the root of my anxiety, that the way they dismissed my feelings when I was younger had left me broken. It wasn't false, but it wasn't helpful either, because families are not therapy rooms. They're messy and flawed, and sometimes they simply don't have the tools. What I should have said was, I'm learning a lot about myself and why I feel the way I do. What I said instead was, this is your fault. The fallout lasted years. 3. I know you never really loved each other. When I was a kid, I used to watch my parents fight like actors on a stage, never physical, but cold and sharp. The silence between them was thick. My mother would sigh in rooms he wasn't in. My father would stay late at work, come home after we were asleep. Still, they stayed together. When I got older and love began to mean something real to me, something warm and alive, I couldn't help but compare. And in one particularly bitter conversation, I threw it at them. You don't love each other. You never did. You just stayed for us. They didn't deny it. That's what hurt the most. But what I didn't understand then was this. Not all love looks the same. Some people don't show affection in ways I recognized. Some stay for stability, for duty, for reasons tangled in culture, money, fear, or yes, even love of a different shape. By saying what I did, I cracked open something they had managed to protect for decades. I didn't free them. I only exposed them. 4. I'm ashamed of you. This one haunts me. My brother had always been the black sheep, dropped out of college, got into bad relationships, borrowed money and never paid it back. We shared a room once when we were little, and I loved him then. When he was just my big brother who knew how to draw cartoon characters and told me bedtime stories. But people change. Or maybe they don't. And when I was 30 and doing well, solid job, clean apartment, engaged to someone smart, he showed up to Thanksgiving drunk. I pulled him aside, cornered him in the garage where the smoke smell clung to the walls. I told him I was tired, that I didn't want to explain him anymore, that he was an embarrassment, that I was ashamed of being his brother. He didn't say anything, just looked at me like I'd struck him. We haven't spoken since. Shame is a weapon, one that leaves a scar long after the fight is over. I said it to change him, to wake him up. But you don't save someone by drowning them. 5. I don't need any of you. Independence is worshipped in our world, especially in your 20s, when cutting ties is painted as growth. I moved out at 21, paid my own bills, got a good job, traveled, posted filtered photos of my freedom. And during a particularly nasty argument with my mother over something stupid, I don't even remember what, I told her flat out, I don't need any of you, not anymore. She cried. I didn't know what to do with that. I thought I was declaring strength, but I was actually building a wall. Years later, when my father was sick and the family had to pull together, I was the outsider, the one who'd drawn a line in the sand. Families aren't just support systems, they're ecosystems. You don't always see the roots until you start pulling them up, and by the time you realize you still need them, sometimes it's too late to reach back. These 5 things, they live in my memory like locked rooms. I don't enter them often, but when I do, I see the same thing. Someone younger, angrier, more certain. Someone who thought that saying everything was strength. But not everything deserves to be said. Not to family. Not always. Sometimes love is choosing silence. Sometimes it's choosing a better sentence. One that doesn't hurt so much. If you're reading this and you're angry at your parents or your siblings or whoever raised you, I'm not telling you to lie. I'm not saying you have to hide your truth. But choose your words carefully. Some doors, once shut, don't open again. And I promise you, some truths don't set you free. They just burn the bridge you'll wish you had later.